My name is Stefan Hoppe. I'm the president of the OPC Foundation, and it's a pleasure again to show you the latest, greatest news. We have a fantastic program this year. It's the first time where we sent out a call for paper, because otherwise you only put presentations to the agenda what is in the personal scope of what we are aware. So we got fantastic feedback, and I'm proudly showing you right now the agenda of today. So today on day one, after my keynote and second presentation about the OPCDI Cloud Initiative, we will hear exciting news for the future about the OPCDI for AI, artificial intelligence presentation from Dr. Holger Ken. He's the chairperson of the board of directors. OPCDI is growing into other areas. We learn about OPCDI in vending machines in the vending industry. And then we have two fantastic, exciting success stories. OPCDI is looking from the sky down to the cloud. OPCDI is in a rocket, and we have guests from Airbus giving us this inputs. And after that, we hear something about the first success story of a companion specification in a dedicated industry, in the tobacco industry. We hear an end user, Philip Morris International. We are not going in detail to all the other days, but to give you a short overview, on day two, it is more the technology day. So what is OPCDI, the current version 1.05? We hear a lot of cloud technologies, OPCDI over MQTT, or the discussion is the universal namespace, the current hype curve, really something where we should worry about or not. And so we are comparing OPCDI with the universal namespace. REST access for the people who want to have super easy access to standardized information is on the agenda. There is a .NET group, and we give you first-time insights in this group from a person who is managing this group. It's Ethan from in Taiwan located. And then we have a certification overview on OPCDI FX, which is a good signal that we now are able to certify this. We are waiting for the product, and also on security inside the UAFX systems. Day three, I'm more categorizing this. It is all about collaborations, companion specifications, pretty much in the area of energy. We have international speakers again from Aker BP, and also Aspen, who is coordinating together with Chris Munch all energy activities, will have a speech here. And you see the rest here: energizers, electrolyzers, base specification for power consumption. The VDMA, our friends, will update us on the status of UA for machinery, and we also get presentations from Paul Hunker about the instrumentations. Day four is more about adoption and use cases, also with a little bit focus not only in the process industry, in general, how to do brownfield installations. And we talk a lot about digital twins, how to run a digital twin powered by OPCDI, how to implement an asset administration shell, a battery pass, and so on. Digital product passport powered by OPCDI. We hear that on day four. And on Friday, the last day, you have a lot of exciting presentations. It is a mix of a lot of things, also looking to the future where others do research and figure out, and they want to provide a lot of stuff. So it's really an exciting week. But now let's start with day one, and welcome to my keynote. So again, welcome to the OPCDI 2024. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I give you a short update here on OPCDI and what has happened. Very exciting. Let's start. The agenda of today is that first I give you a little bit the vision of the secure industrial semantic interoperability and also a couple of perceptions which I believe you should get updates. Very short, just with one slide, I will give you insights about the OPC Foundation. We are talking a little bit more about the UA technology and I give you the latest, greatest updates on what happened in the area of field, of cloud, what is the status in certification. We have exciting news in collaboration areas, and I give you a short summary on information and offerings. So let's start. Normally, there are a couple of questions which we always get, and then people are typing in, will the presentations and slides and recordings be available later on? And the clear answer is for sure. We are always uploading presentations into the OPC Foundation web. You just need your personal registration. You do not have to be a member, a paying member, but you need to be registered, and then you can access the material. It will take a couple of days to collect all the updates, but then you will also receive an email that all material is available. And second, how to ask questions during the presentation, because we normally have a 2-hour presentation block and then a 1-hour Q&A where all speakers are available live. And please type in all questions in that question window. There's one more FAQ, and that's exactly, is the person really Stefan? And why does he have such long hair? And the simple answer is, yes, it's me, and second, because I can. So you see on the picture next to me our friend John Dyke, the CEO of Sesame, and Chris Munch from company Enapter. So really good friends, and I shared that picture with them before. Okay, with this, let's kick off. The vision of secure industrial semantic interoperability is traveling around the world. I see a lot of wishes where I see people also from the IT world thinking about interoperability. And I'm really thinking sometimes, hey, where have you been the last 20 years? Where have you lived? It should not sound arrogant, but they are really super excited when they hear stories that, oh, one company can share information into a pool of information and another company can just read and access the information without any proprietary solution in between. And I say, yeah, that's what we do for 18 years now. And oh, you can provide access rights, who is able to see and to read and write kind of information. Yeah, that's what we do since 18 years. So everybody is looking for a secure, reliable information exchange of any kind of data, for static data and dynamic data. And that should be independent from any vendor, obviously, from any platform, from any market, from any domain. And it should scale from sender all the bubbles up, the levels up into the IT level and also inside the IT world. I'm not a fan of, this is the OT camp and they have their solution and trying to convince the IT world, and the IT world have their solution and fighting that the OT world is adopting this. OPCDI has been designed by both, by IT and OT people. And it's a solution, an IT solution, which is fitting and fulfilling all the requirements from the OT world. And first of all, OPCDI is a modeling language, a very rich modeling language. And second, once you have done that, security and transport mechanisms are built in already. So it's not just the last mile to something. With this picture, let's think about perceptions. And number one perception is OPCDI is just the last mile to physical assets. And the clearly answer is no, I just gave that. I'm not going to this slide completely. I showed this slide last year and we got a lot of feedbacks where it was kind of an eye-opener for a lot of attendees in the world. And so I keep this slide here. You can read that, but I'm not going to all the topics. But I want to continue to give you new perceptions which we noticed over the time. And one of this is OPCDI is just for operational, let's say dynamic data, but not to collect static data or over the life cycle. That's a different technology. No, I'm sorry, no. Because it's even more easier to write an OPCDI server to collect static data. That's the easiest part. And I explain you why. Normally, if you implement an OPCDI server to host and to offer data, consists of two major parts. Number one is building the namespace of the of the OPCDI server, building the model. So what kind of information should be offered to the outside world? In which context? How is the structure? And there you can differentiate on three different kind of namespaces. The first one is the super simplest one. It's a static namespace. Your service or your asset has a fixed namespace and that's never changing. Implementing that is just a couple of minutes. You need to implement one routine, loading an XML file, the nodeset file, and that's done forever. An example could be, for example, a vendor nameplate. That's never changing. Once you have filled in the information, who is a supplier, what is the purpose of the machine, what is the name, done. Maybe, again, maybe the variables are changing, the content of the variables, the values, but not the name itself. The second it's not more difficult, but it's an extendable namespace. Remember that based on access rights, clients, OPCDI clients, can connect to an OPCDI server and extend the namespace. They can add folders and also variables and fill up content. If they have access rights, they can even delete something. This is, for example, what you need if you are dealing with a CO2 footprint. So you are selling a robot, but the robot consists out of multiple materials from suppliers, for the metal, for the motors, for the wires, and a lot of more. So you just deliver them the certificate, and that's all. And then the supplier of the metal stuff can connect to the OPCDI server. He has just limited rights to extend with one node, upload his information, and that's it. And then the third one is really where you have to take care a little bit more, the dynamic namespace, where third-party applications on the fly can add or delete content. For example, if you have a central aggregating server collecting the information from all the assets below, like in a factory floor, in a shop floor, then whenever a new machine is added, automatically the namespace must reflect the new machine and extend the information. A second information which is much higher dynamic is if you have a PLC controller. Because inside the PLC you do not have from the birth of the PLC a dedicated namespace. Instead, the machine builder is creating the PLC logic, downloading it to the PLC. When the PLC is starting, the OPC server is reflecting what he should reflect out of the PLC, a subset of information. But in some cases, even while the robot is moving, you are able to download a hot download of a new PLC logic. The robot continues moving, and there might be some additional PLC variables available, and maybe some others have been deleted. And the OPC server immediately, out of a second or even less a second, has to reflect these changes, make some variables inaccessible, invalid, and continue with the other variables reporting values. So, and the second step of the two parts to build an OPCDI server is, well, if required only, that's optional, collect the required machines, the required information from the asset or from the service. So this could be collect the information from a PLC, but this could also be collecting the data from the Excel sheet. I'm really super surprised that IT people tell me, wouldn't it be great to have a central information pool with a namespace, but there is not a physical asset behind. This could also be a cell in a dedicated Excel sheet. Hey, yeah, that's available multiple times. We have about 10 commercial products, OPCDI server, exactly doing that. So again, what have you done the last 20 years? Again, OPCDI does not care whether the data is online or offline, whether it's operational or product data. Instead, and that's the highest value, OPCDI places the data in a context that turns it into highly valid information. Perception, again, as OPCDI is an extensive, provides extensive modeling options, this leads to complex information models. The clearly answer is no. Just because you have a powerful tool and mechanism, this does not mean that you have to implement highly complex information models. But instead, if you have rich modeling capabilities, you can model very simple information models. Just 5 strings, 5 variables, that's it. There are modeling tools available, open source, and about 10 plus commercial tools available on the market. And I tell you, with limited modeling capabilities, you can never address future use cases. A limited model can also never map information from a rich model without losing metadata. And if you have to address new future use cases, you might have to change the meta-modeling language, and then this might result in breaking of your backward compatibility. And here's again a great value of OPCDI, because from the beginning in the year 2006 till today, 18 years, there has never been a break of backward compatibility. Number 4, perception. OPCDI is too big and too powerful. And I tell you, no. OPCDI functionalities have always to provide, not all of the functionalities have to be provided in the UA server. For example, in a hardware-constrained asset, you will definitely not implement historical data and store them on that device. A PLC might not have a REST interface. Edge devices may or may not have support of underlying IT infrastructure like Ethernet APL or TSN. Data spaces, digital twins, or the asset shell running in the cloud may not or cannot support TCP or UDP. We are aware of that. Well, then disable that. But obviously, we also provide REST, OPCDI over MQTT, and file transfer. So let's have a look about the organization of the OPC Foundation as the largest ecosystem for cross-domain industrial interoperability, and OPCDI, the technology, what we are talking for. First of all, the OPC Foundation right now has 969 members. So maybe during this week we can celebrate that we cross the 1,000 line. Maybe that's a good hint for you. Think about to become a member. As mentioned, OPCDI has exactly the vision to provide this interoperability, what I have spoken before. As an international organization, OPCDI is an IEC standard. The deliverables are completely open. All specifications, once released, are open, accessible for everybody. Tools and code and sample code is available on GitHub. And even for certification, you do not have to become a paying member of the OPC Foundation. There's a huge ecosystem, and we have modern IPR policies. From the automation pyramid, we believe, from a communication point of view, we believe that it's moving and has moved into an information network. That's much more important. And so we do not say OPCDI is a protocol. It is much more than that. Instead, we are standardizing the payload, the information which should be exchanged, and then we can move that standardized information over different protocols like TCP and UDP and MQTT. We also have REST interfaces and file transfer. And that's what we do with a lot of partners to standardize the information. And that's why I believe OPCDI is the world's largest ecosystem of standardized information models with more than 150 models. OPCDI at a glance is really going from left to right. First of all, it's a super rich modeling language. It provides object orientation for not only data but also for interfaces. It is not only for hardware like physical assets, it's also for software services. It's providing structured data, complex data, and type validation. The transport has two major communication patterns, client-server and pub-sub, with very effective encoding like binary or JSON. Both have their benefits, and you can select. I already mentioned different protocols because it's protocol agnostic. I already mentioned transfer also with REST interface and file transfer. And it's open to be extendable. For example, we extended already through Ethernet APL and TSN and 5G and Wi-Fi 6. Security is a hot topic, and it's across, not only for the transport layer, but also for the modeling. And so security is integrated by design, built in by design. It is proven by international experts. The German BSI has made twice an analysis, but also our friends from France, the ANSI government, has recently analyzed OPCDI, and we are in contact with national security agents in the United States. We can provide an end-to-end security, and again, not only for the transport, but also with authentication and authorizing on who is able to see, read, and write what kind of data points in the namespace. And this leads into audit concepts which are integrated for sure. In the left lower corner, OPCDI is extendable with flexible information models, but also with your own customer model. For example, if you are supporting the robotic information model, for sure you can on top add your own custom models, which are only available for those people who have a dedicated specific certificate, what you provide them. OPCDI is scalable from field to cloud to applications like one digital twin to another digital twin, obviously back from cloud to field, and also within the field area for horizontal communication. OPCDI is international, it's an IEC standard, but it's also a national standard in China. A couple of people have been surprised on that, so if you like to have more information, look for the GBT 33863.x, and the X is exactly the specification number of the OPCDI specification part. But it's also a local standard in Singapore, Korea. I mentioned already we have 900, nearly 1,000 members here, and also the OPC board is international and it's elected annually. It's democratic, elected by the members. It's not where you can put money on a table and buy in. But also most important is that OPCDI is super independent. Everything is open. All the specifications are open. Source is open as sample code. There are no proprietary technologies inside. It's multi-vendor, cross-platform, multiple domains, and as mentioned, modern IPR policies, where it is the world's largest patent protection umbrella because all the big companies are guaranteeing that they keep everybody identical. So when we did the SPS show last year, we thought, why not give an overview on the exciting journey of the OPC success. And then we did 4 different categories. The blue is the organization, and then we have the technology in orange, then the adoption in dark blue, and then the companion specifications in green. And so you see really a nice growing ecosystem. So this is public available. You can download that PDF. And we really like to learn from you. When have you started? Where do you see where you have made significant improvements with a success story or with a specific implementation in a dedicated area? The world's smallest OPCDI server, the world's largest applications with the highest number of data points. So please share your thoughts, contact us. We figured out then by accident that OPCDI has been standardized exactly 20 years ago. So the start of the first OPCDI work group meeting was in November 2023. And for me, so you see we celebrated immediately with confetti bombs. That was really cool. A lot of fun. But what we realized is that the duration to standardize OPCDI was just 3 years. Because in the year 2006, the very first OPCDI standard version 1.00 has been released. And a couple of years later, 17, 18 years later, we are now at the version 1.05. And you see we are still completely backward compatible without any break of this compatibility. This is important. But again, looking back, why does it just happen within 3 years, such a stable technology? Because it has made by industry experts who had knowledge about the requirement of the industry with a clearly structure of specifications. I'm not reading all the lines, and we have a dedicated update on what is inside the package 1.05 by the CTO of the OPC Foundation, Jim Luce, later. But you see that they clearly structured and had a layered approach of specifications. Sometimes people say, that's far too complicated, we can do it much easier. And then they write one dedicated specification with a little bit of calls, transport calls, REST calls, and they put security in. And later on they figure out, oh, it makes sense to structure it and have different documents to address specific layers. And that's why we have this clearly security layer, address space model, services, information model, mappings, and so on, because that makes it extendable. And I'm really proud to work with these smart people who designed this stuff 20 years ago. It's really a pleasure for me, and we should really collect their names and celebrate them here much more. Again, in now 2 years, we will celebrate 20 years availability of OPCDI, and then they get all the honor they earn. Let's look a little bit on security, not too deep here, because I provided that slide already a little bit before. OPCDI security is based on the 3 layers, the enabling technology, the continuous monitoring, and also education guidance. That's what OPCDI is covering. The enabling technology, I already talked a little bit about the different layers, not only security on transport layer, also access rights, but we also provide the infrastructure for central and decentral certificate management. Continuous monitoring is key. It is not enough to just write a secure specification. Instead, you also have continuous monitoring where 25 plus experts really analyze what happened, they act reactive, they are proactive. And by the way, the OPC Foundation is also supporting with a little bit of the member fees to support hacker events so that industrial hackers try to hack into our systems. Only this is building up trust. And the last year it was not possible to hack in if the device was configured correctly. And education guidance, we wrote a paper where all the security settings, all the recommendations have been shrink down, condensed to one single page. So please download that page, which is a really good guidance what you should configure at the machine. Last year and the years before, we already had a couple of security presentations. This is just a reminder that you don't forget that. Really interesting content. But this year, 2024, we just 2 weeks ago had an OPC Foundation Security Summit in Munich, hosted by our board company Microsoft. And all the presentations are available. You can download them immediately. It was about the Cyber Resilience Act, and we had guests from the German BSI, but also the European Commissioner made the presentations, and all security experts were in a good exchange discussing what is coming up in the year 2027. You should definitely prepare yourself and read these documents. It was everything about what you need to know, the SBOM, the software bill of material, but also the CVE and other topics. You see here a nice picture from the left to the right. You see the persons, our colleague Mike Clark as a director North America, Anne Schwendicke from the BSI Germany, Matthew Rogers from CISR North America, Special Agent Gabriel Ma from the FBI, Jens Kraut from the German BSI again, and myself have been here on the stage. So it was really an international conference, great content. We will, right now we think about to make another just virtual event in the area of September, October, so stay tuned. It is really highly required, and OPCDI is addressing a lot of these requirements already. So we are prepared. Extending OPCDI to the field. In the year 2018, there started this big group under the lead of Peter Lutz as the director of the field level communication group, and the specifications for horizontal controller to controller communications have been released. 4 or 5 of that specifications, including OPCDI safety. We have 3 of that demonstration walls where we can show how controllers can horizontally directly communicate with. And that's really fantastic, because if you go to a shop floor, today's world is that you are uploading data from one controller, converting it, and then downloading it to another controller. Or you have converters on field bus levels. But now it is just configuration, and you can immediately connect devices to each other and to exchange information. Fantastic success, and we will hear much more from that. This year at the ACHEMA last week, we also showed the world first OPCDI enabled device providing OPCDI PAP/SAP over UDP out of the device over Ethernet APL. It's this device, what you see here in the right lower corner. It's from the company Samsung in Frankfurt. And this is where I believe it's definitely the trend. Instead of pushing data with proprietary protocols to cloud systems and then standardize and normalize data in the cloud, it makes much more sense that devices as near as possible at the source level where the data are generated are providing standardized information, because then all levels in between the sensor and the cloud can also immediately reuse the data, and that's coming more and more. OPCDI, as you know, has also chosen by other big initiatives like the Namur Open Architecture as the second channel. It's mandatory. The OPAF, the Open Process Automation Forum, based with end users in the United States, but also from MTP and MDIS. OPCDI from OT to IT and inside the IT world. We started in April the big OPC Foundation Cloud Initiative, similar to the Field Initiative. And the goal is just bring industrial interoperability standard, building the Industrial International again. The goal is building the industrial cloud interoperability standard for the cloud systems. So something like what we know from the USB connector for our computers, just think about a standardized connector to cloud systems. Wouldn't that be great? Honestly, I have never thought about this might happen, but I'm super proud. I'm really excited that companies like Alibaba Cloud joined the OPC Foundation to be part of that initiative. AWS, Huawei, Microsoft, SAP. And by the way, if you are an end user and you like to participate in this initiative, please bring your experience to the table, your wishes to the table, your requirements, please contact me. We have a dedicated presentation on that right after this keynote, so I'm not diving into the details here, instead having it in a second. But you see that this cloud initiative we are not starting from scratch. There are already a couple of working groups inside the OPC Foundation, OPC Cloud Library, the world's largest information pool where you can download and browse all of these companion specifications to avoid any double standardization. OPCUA over MQTT provides standardized transport to the cloud systems. The REST interface we have already built inside OPCUA since 2016, but we are extending it right now. There's a working group, the Web of Things, connectivity to standardize the configuration of non-OPCUA enabled devices. The industrial metaverse is a finalized group. They have finalized because results are there. So from the virtual 3D world, you can connect to the physical world. And also today, we have a keynote about OPCUA for artificial intelligence, and we hear more from that later on. So the next topic, the digital twin powered by OPCUA. And for digital twin, there are multiple definitions available. We are reusing the definition from the digital twin consortia. And this is what you read here. A digital twin is a virtual representation of a real-world entities and processes synchronized at a specific frequency and fidelity. Yep, that's what we think about. And so here, again, I make an example from a robot, but obviously this can be a pump, but this can also be a software service. It doesn't have to be a physical asset. So in the field, in the edge, we have an OPCUA server, and the OPCUA server is also representing a specific domain information model like the robot here. So in the low left corner, you see the real robot, the real physical robot which you can touch. And then just on a click, you can create the digital instance of this running in the edge or in the cloud. And this is a digital twin of the robot. And we have, again, you can load the robotic information model, the full information model, or just parts, whatever you like to transfer in a specific frequency and fidelity from the physical robot up to the digital robot with OPCUA over TCP if it's on the edge, or with OPCUA over MQTT if it's in the cloud. And if it's running in the cloud, you have obviously interfaces like OPCUA over MQTT, like the REST interface, or you can just do a file export import. That's what we built up with OPCUA, and that's why we call it Digital Twin powered by OPCUA. We did it together with our friends from the Digital Twin Consortia, and this reference architecture is available as open source, and you find it also on the web of the Digital Twin Consortia. By the way, you see exactly the what we delivered, the interfaces. So when we started in the year 2006, it was client-server. In the year 2012, we added file and directory operations. In the year 2016, we offered OPCUA via REST interface, and since 2018, we provide OPCUA over MQTT. And so we believe that's a good starting point, or if there's something missing. If there's something missing, please contact us so we can continue the journey together. The next topic, what we figured out is, well, if we have a digital twin already, well, then the next step on integrating the product, the digital product passport as an umbrella for things like the product carbon footprint or the digital battery passport is very simple. And also here, the product carbon footprint and the digital battery passport, the digital product passport, are powered by OPCUA. Same like the asset administration shell powered by OPCUA technology. Because all technologies are there. It was super simple. It took just 3 days to take the asset administration REST API calls, integrate them into an OPCDI server, but using the very powerful meta-modeling language of OPCDI. And then you can combine everything very simple. You have the domain information models in the same meta-modeling language, and also adding the digital battery passport or something like that was easy. Creating the digital battery passport just took us 3 hours. We did not define the semantic of the digital battery passport. There has been help and long time work by a group in Berlin, and they took care to define the semantic and the data types. So I think something like about 107 parameters, and the data type and the meaning. But moving this into a companion spec, into an information model, and then load this somewhere where you like to have it, in the cloud, in the edge, or in the device, we don't care. It's up to you to decide where you like to have that. But the technology behind that, access rights are delivered by certificates, and if you sell the battery, the certificate of the owner gets invalid and a new owner gets a new certificate, that infrastructure is completely available. So we made this demonstration together with our friends from the company Huawei with a big battery. It was a real world use case. I'm aware that the screenshot here is a little bit too small, but there is a dedicated extra presentation later this week, and you find that presentation in our media pool. Certification update. Obviously, there is a certification program. We established this immediately in the year 2007, right after the first specification has been released. So it's even much more. It's more than 17, 18 years ago, meanwhile. You find logos. There's a QR code to figure out what exactly has been specified and certified. So you can browse to that product and then figure out, is it client server? Is also PubSub certified? Is OPCDI FX certified? Which parts? Are there companion specifications involved? And so on. So all that is very easily browsable through that QR code. And to prepare to get this certificate, we have a so-called OPCDI compliance test tool, the CDT tool, which has over 1,800 test scripts. It is not only to check OPCDI, this is a majority of scripts, yes, but there are also a lot of scripts for dedicated companion specifications. And this is what we will continue much, much more. In near future, we were also able to check very quickly the address space of companion specifications to just figure out, are the correct variables with the correct data type at the correct location inside the namespace. It's just a script running a second or a few seconds. This does not mean that we can check the functionality and the behavior behind. But even checking is a namespace correct is a very first step into that direction. Just a short message that we are also joined with others, like the ODVA, like the Profinet colleagues, an association, the TIACC, and this is all. It's an Ethernet APL consortium where others also test the physical layers, and we agreed that every association is accepting the results from the other association. So you can go to any lab and check the physical Ethernet APL functionalities, but if you want to check the data exchange and the protocols on top, you can go also to the OPC Foundation lab, and we are able to certify your Ethernet APL enabled OPCDI device. For sure, there's a marketplace. It is not only listing products, you also see quality labels like, is this product certified, which we highly recommend, obviously, but you can also search and filter for specific product functionalities. Thus, I'm looking for a device supporting OPCDI over MQTT with JSON or with binary encoding. So go to the website, set these filters, and then you get exactly what you're looking for. Collaboration and activities. First of all, and I have these slides here as an overview only for some time, there are over 151 companion specifications which are available free of charge to download. I believe it's the world's largest ecosystem for these information models for the automation world. I have never seen something similar. So go to this list, download the stuff. You can also search for specific domains and you will find results. If there's something not available, why don't you contact us? Why not think about starting joint activities? Please help to make the world better. Let's do it. We are super excited, and we will hear another keynote later about OPCDI is growing into the vending and coffee machine industry. The European Vending and Coffee Service Association, short EVA, their members have selected OPCDI to be integrated into the vending machines, not only to connect the vending machine to the outside IT landscape, but also for interoperability inside the machine. We will hear much more from Erwin Wetzel later on from the EVA organization. Energy update. We started multiple working groups in the area of energy production or transformation, distribution, storage or consumption. And on Wednesday, we will learn from Espen Crow and speakers from Aker BP and Chris Munch what is the status, what are exciting news. So stay tuned and listen to their presentations. I'm just reminding everybody that our friends from Spectaris and other associations around the world have standardized interoperability for secure plug and play in laboratories for analytical devices, and that's really amazing. And I just want to recap and remind you, the success of their adoption is really that they have, from my point of view, really a dream team of, number one, a freelancer, Dr. Matthias Arnold, or Dr. Latz, as an expert. And then we have Matthias Schuh, who's working for Ascentim as an organizer. They are doing 3 to 4 hackathons per year. There are up to 40 developers in a room. And people sitting there are able to implement OPCDI service for their devices within just 2 days. So if you don't believe me as a president, then see the video, because really on the first, well, by the way, they get structured and they are sitting together on tables depending on their infrastructure, on their, not infrastructure, on their implementation base. So on one table, everybody is from toolkit vendor A with .NET, and on the other day, there's another open source, Open 62541, or other open source solutions, .NET solutions or whatever. So there is a lot of stuff available. And then on the first day, they get an introduction. They have never heard about OPCDI. They get a little bit familiar with the code base. And then they load the information model. And as mentioned in my earlier introduction, if you have a fixed information model for your device, I'm a freezer, I'm a shaker, then it's not that complicated. You load that information model, and then on the first day you can compile, you can connect with a client, you can, well, browse the namespace, but obviously there is no variables inside available. So the second day they establish the internal communication to their own devices. You will get the link here, and please see that 2-minute video with exciting statements from that group. And to give you an update here, we have, together with our friends from LATS, visiting the Boston SLAS show earlier this year in February. And from left to right, you see Carsten Stein from the company Berthold. By the way, they actively advertise, what you can see here on the right side, very proudly, hey, our device, our Lumiometer, is talking LATS. And then you see also LATS is powered and endorsed by OPCDI, powered by OPCDI. You see Matthias Schuh, what I mentioned before, from company Ascentim, and you see Dr. Janina Bolling from Spectaris next to me. So really, we are proud. Thank you very much. It's a really great success story. Another update from the PADIM, the Process Automation Device Information Model. The new version 1.1 has been released. You find a press release on the web. This press release has been published by all co-owners of PADIM. The group has started years ago, organized by the OPC Foundation together with the friends from the FieldCom group. And then we both decided to extend the ownership because all others have also helped. There have been experts from Namur, from P&O, from ODVA and so on. And so we extended the ownership to have really one information model where everybody in the world agrees on this is the description of specific devices. So for this ACHEMA show last week, we created a brochure. And if you want to get a little bit more technical information as a short comprehensive overview and where to find the specs and where to download them and what is the difference between version 1.0 and 1.1 and what are future versions about, then please download that brochure. Offerings and information. First of all, we are really proud to have a lot of success stories from different companies. And it's on different areas, like Equinor from oil and gas, pushing up data to Microsoft Azure, but also for manufacturing, like Renault Group with pushing up data to Google Cloud. OPCDI is in the world's largest solar panel project in Egypt. OPCDI is in the world's largest wind turbine project in the Dogger Bank in the UK area. I'm not mentioning everything here, but the Miele story is really fantastic because it shows how they made the success, because they involved all suppliers and told them, we want to have your product with OPCDI. And they are in a lucky situation that 100% of their suppliers are delivering OPCDI-enabled products. And Miele is not only pushing all new production lines with OPCDI, in a maintenance phase, they even equipped an existing older production line with OPCDI, and you should read that story to learn why and what are the benefits. This year, you see me smiling and you see me super proud. Today, shortly, we hear much more about Airbus with having OPCDI in a rocket. And you know, whenever something happens, you can go somewhere and fix something. You cannot just go and fix something in a rocket. It must be reliable. So I'm really proud and I'm keen to listen about the report from Airbus. And second, I'm also proud about a success story from Philip Morris International of the tobacco industry. I was a little bit involved with some presentations where I have to figure out when exactly I made that presentations in front of the tobacco working group during my early back-off days in the year 2011, 2012, something like that, where I made a presentation about OPCDI and asked them, why don't you do it? And here you see they started, they provided, they brought experts together, and now it's a standard in the tobacco world. And from my knowledge, it's the world first end-user report about the benefits of companion specifications in that area, but also what has been the challenges. So it's a very open and honest story. Let's see later today the details. I can't stop reminding everybody on the academic program because the industry needs OPCDI experts. So if somebody is here on the call who knows another professor or somebody who is educating in the academic world, please make him aware that there is free of charge education material available addressing different topics, what you see here on specifications, on security, on modeling, on PubSub, transport, so a lot of stuff. All that is available free of charge in 6 different languages So please help us to make this content more available in the world. And then also how to get a super RAM start, a quick RAM start on OPCDI over MQTT. We updated the starter kit. It is much easier, it is much quicker. You have a couple of use cases and you don't need a lot of hardware. It can run just on your computer or can play around with a small Raspberry Pi and then make some LEDs blinking or not. So if you want to play around in summertime, here's a really good idea what to do. Overall, I talked about a lot of these offerings. So I'm just adding the podcast here, which I not mentioned, obviously the brochure. There's one more topic. It is the open source offerings, which is a .NET based solution. There's another solution based on ANSI C++, which is hosted by the Fraunhofer. It's the Open 62541. But this week we will also get a dedicated presentation from Ethan Wang from Microsoft. He is organizing the .NET user group here, and he will have that presentation later this week. Lastly, I like to provide you an upcoming thing about the OPCDI.NET space, because there are so many information available, and sometimes you don't find them quickly. So the big question is how to find them. So you easily put in your selection. I'm a professional, I'm interested on the more process industry, and then you get a mesh network, and then you say, oh, I'm a developer, I like to get more about transport capabilities and the infrastructure. And then you see, oh, okay, OPCDI is able to run over Ethernet, APL, TSN, Wi-Fi 6 and so on. So there's a lot of content, and then you get dedicated videos from different people. So it's easy to find very quickly these areas. But obviously, we are interested on collaborations or something else, so you can move and flip this exactly where you like to have more information. It gives you a much better overview in a 3D model than just a flat list. And so let's have a look into collaborations. I'm interested now in wind turbines. Let's see what is available in these areas. So let's have a look. Energy sounds reasonable for this. And again, we are just filling up information right now. There's much more available soon. And then we click on wind turbines, and then we have immediately success stories, but also the specifications available, and you can immediately continue here. So success stories, that's always a good starting point to trust others and not us. So here's a long list of success stories, and that list goes on, and I'm proud to have 2 more success stories today. So there are a lot of information available, as you see here, and we are right now uploading data, more and more information. In future, we are also able to not only upload OPCDI created content, we are also able to link to content from companies where we trust on. The idea is definitely to have a trusted information pool where you are sure that this is authorized and the reality, and not kind of fake news from somewhere else. Okay, with this, the short summary. OPCDI is a super large modeling ecosystem. It is extremely powerful, our modeling mechanisms. I'm not going to that list again. But again, it's much more than just a protocol. It's a modeling language, super successful, can model nearly everything. The ecosystem behind is fantastic. We have over 150 companion specification, and we also do the harmonization, that we do not have double standardization inside that domain-specific information models. We have a great tool chain and adoption with more than, with validation tools, with open source, but also more than 10 commercial modeling tools. And I already spoke about a very modern legal frame where members definitely protect not only themselves, but also integrators and users. I believe that's unique in the automation world. That was my presentation. Thank you so much